Listen to me. Some of you have been carrying other people's opinions on your back for too long. They told you you weren't smart enough. You weren't talented enough. You weren't strong enough. You weren't qualified. They told you it's impossible that people like you don't make it. And you believe them. Until today, I'm here to tell you that those words don't define you. You've got to flip the script and turn those words into fuel. When they said you couldn't, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, oh, watch me. You can't let that doubt become your reality. If you want it bad enough, you got to work like they've never seen before. You got to sacrifice, you got to grind, you got to push when nobody's clapping for you. You got to prove to yourself first that you can. The world is full of people who will doubt you, but you don't need the world's approval. You need to wake up every single day with one mission: to prove them wrong. Not out of hate, but out of purpose. You've got to show them that the limits they put on you don't apply. This is your moment to stop listening to the noise and start building the life you said you wanted. The only way you prove them wrong is through consistency, discipline, and a refusal to quit. When they said you couldn't do it, when they doubted you, when they told you that you weren't good enough, smart enough, talented enough, or strong enough, that should have been the spark that lit something inside of you. See, too many of us take words like that and let them weigh us down. We let them convince us that we don't have what it takes, that we should give up, that maybe they're right and we were dreaming too big. But the truth is, when people say you can't, that's exactly when you have to decide you will. That's the moment you have to dig deep, go into that dark place, and find the courage to keep pushing. You can't waste energy being angry at them. You can't waste time crying. You can't waste your focus trying to convince them with words. You've got to use that energy as fuel to work harder, to focus sharper, to go further than you ever thought possible. When somebody says you can't, it's not a life sentence. It's not a verdict. It's not the end of the story. It's a challenge. It's the universe asking you, how bad do you want it? Because if you truly want it, you'll show up even when you don't feel like it. You'll put in work when nobody's watching. You'll get up earlier, stay up later, sacrifice comfort, sacrifice excuses, and you'll do whatever it takes to prove to yourself first that you can. You can't just want to prove them wrong. You got to want to prove yourself right. You got to reach a point where their words don't make you cry. They make you dangerous. Their doubt doesn't stop you, it fuels you. You wake up in the morning with that voice in your head saying, they don't think I can do this. So today, I'm going to go harder than I've ever gone before. Let me tell you something. Some of the most successful people in history were told they couldn't. They were laughed at, ridiculed, underestimated. People told them their dreams were unrealistic. But they turned that doubt into fuel. They took that rejection and used it to power every single step forward. They didn't waste time complaining about who didn't believe in them. They spent time working on themselves until they were undeniable. That's what you gotta do. You gotta put your head down and get so good, so disciplined, so consistent that you make it impossible for them to ignore you. And when you get tired, you remind yourself that you're not just working for yourself. You're working to show every single person who said you couldn't that they were wrong. I want you to think about every time someone said you couldn't. Go back to that memory, that moment when they looked at you with doubt in their eyes. Maybe they even laughed. Maybe they dismissed you. Maybe they told you to be realistic. Remember how that felt. Remember the sting, the anger, the hurt. Take that emotion and channel it into action. Don't sit in that pain. Use it. Every rep in the gym, every page you study, every late night, every early morning, every extra hour you put in. Let that be powered by the memory of what they said you couldn't do. Let it drive you until the fire inside you burns hotter than the doubt outside you. When you're exhausted and want to quit, remind yourself that if you quit, they win. Remind yourself that if you stop, you're proving them right. And you can't let that happen. You got to push through because the best revenge is success. This is not about arrogance. It's not about ego. It's about refusing to let other people write the ending to your story. You are the author of your story, not them. Their words can only have power if you let them. If you believe what they say, then they win before the fight even starts. But if you take what they say and let it push you forward, you win twice. Once when you reach your goal, and again when you look back and see that their doubt made you stronger. That's the beauty of turning doubt into fuel. It doesn't just help you reach your destination, it shapes you into a stronger, more resilient person along the way. It forces you to dig deep to find strength you didn't know you had. It forces you to level up. Sometimes the people who tell you that you can't aren't even trying to hurt you. Sometimes they're projecting their own fear, their own insecurity, their own failures onto you. They couldn't do it, so they assume you can't either. They're speaking from their limitations, not yours. That's why you can't let their words define what's possible for you. You gotta take responsibility for your own destiny. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what you didn't have. It doesn't matter what obstacles are in front of you. What matters is that you don't stop. The people who prove others wrong aren't always the most talented. They aren't always the smartest, but they are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who refuse to let you can't to be the final word. Every single time you attempt to stop, remember that moment. Remember what they said. Let it be the reason you do one more set, send one more email, make one more call, take one more step. Let it be the reason you put in just a little more effort than you thought you had left. Over time, those little extra efforts add up, they build momentum. And one day you'll look back and realize that the thing they said you couldn't do is exactly what you did. You did just prove them wrong. You proved to yourself that you are stronger than you ever knew. You gotta treat their doubt like free energy. Every insult, every dismissal, every no is free fuel for your journey. Don't waste it. Collect it, store it, and use it every single day. You might not be able to control what they say, but you can control what you do with it. You can allow to let it stop you or let it drive you. Choose to let it drive you. Choose to let it push you so hard that you become unstoppable. Choose to let it remind you why you started in the first place. The truth is, the people who told you you could will be the first to ask you how you did it. Once you make it, they'll be the first to tell others they knew you all along. They'll be the first to clap when you succeed. And that's okay. You're not doing it to hold a grudge. You're doing it because you know deep down you were meant for more. And you refuse to leave this world without becoming everything you were created to be. You refuse to let their words define you. You refuse to die with potential still inside you. So the next time somebody tells you that you can't, I want you to smile. I want you to say a thank you. Thank them for the free motivation. Thank them for giving you a reason to go harder. Thank them for reminding you why you can't stop. Then go out and work so hard that one day they have no choice but to say, I was wrong about you. That is how you turn doubt into fuel. That is how you prove them wrong. That is how you show the world and yourself that nothing and no one can stop you if you refuse to quit. You say you want to prove them wrong. You say you want to silence the critics. You say you want to show everybody that doubted you what you're really made of. Then you have to outwork everybody. Not just some people, not just the ones around you, but everybody who's in the race with you. You cannot be average and expect extraordinary results. You cannot put in part-time effort and expect full-time success. This is where most people get it twisted. They think talent is enough. They think intelligence is enough. They think connections are enough. But the truth is, the person who's willing to work the hardest, the person who is willing to put in the most consistent effort over time, will beat the person with more talent every single time. Our work doesn't just level the playing field, it tips it in your favor. You got to show up earlier than everyone else. You got to stay later than everyone else. You got to be the one who's willing to do the dirty work, the boring work, the hard work that nobody else wants to do. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not going to get applause at first, but it's what builds greatness. You can't just want success. You've got to be obsessed with doing what it takes to get there. You've got to be willing to do it when it's raining, when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when nobody is watching. You've got to treat every single day as an opportunity to separate yourself from the pack. Most people are willing to work when it's convenient. Most people are willing to work when they feel motivated. But if you really want to prove them wrong, you got to work even when you feel nothing, when you feel empty, when you feel like quitting. That's what separates the good from the great. Think about it. Now, working everyone doesn't just mean doing more, it means doing better. It means being intentional with every hour. It means when other people are sleeping, you're grinding. When other people are scrolling on their phone, you're studying. When other people are taking a break, you're taking one more rep. Success is hidden in the little decisions you make every day. The decision to wake up on time. The decision to stay disciplined when no one would know if you quit. The decision to keep showing up day after day until you're undeniable. That's the secret. It's not one big moment, it's thousands of small moments where you chose to work instead of quit. And here's the truth. It's gonna hurt sometime. You're gonna get tired. You're gonna get sore. You're gonna wonder if it's worth it. But that's exactly when you have to dig deeper. That's exactly when you have to remind yourself why you started. If it were easy, everybody would do it. If it were comfortable, everybody would be great. But it's not. That's why so few people reach the top. Because most people aren't willing to go through the pain, the discipline, the sacrifice. But if you were willing to pay that price, there's nothing you can't achieve. You have to stop comparing yourself to other people and start competing with them. Don't just talk about proving them wrong. Go put in the work that makes it impossible for them to deny you. If they're practicing 1 hour, you practice 3. If they're reading 1 book a month, you read 3 books a month. If they're working 5 days a week, you find a way to work 7. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you pull ahead. It's not about wishing for it. It's about working for it until wishing is no longer necessary. When you commit to outworking everyone, something changes inside you. You stop making excuses. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for the perfect time. You realize that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the work you're willing to do. You can't fake it. You can't cheat it. You can't skip steps. You've got to earn it one day at a time. And the beautiful thing is, every time you show up and put in the work, you get stronger. Not just physically, but mentally. You start to trust yourself. You start to build confidence because you know you're doing what it takes. You know that while other people are sleeping on their potential, you're wide awake building yours. And listen, you don't have to announce every move. You don't have to post every grind session on social media. You don't have to tell the world what you're doing. Let them see it when it's done. Let them see the results when you show up transformed, when you show up with receipts. The loudest statement you can make is not a clapback, not an argument, not a debate. It's success. It's standing there with everything they said you couldn't have and saying with your life, I did it. There's a reason people say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Because talent is wasted without effort. Potential is meaningless without discipline. You might not be the fastest, the strongest, or the smartest right now, but if you put in enough work, you can close that gap. Work ethic is the great equalizer. It doesn't care where you came from. It doesn't care what you've been through. It doesn't care what you lack. It will take you as far as you're willing to go. But the key is you can't stop. You can't let up just because you start to see results. You gotta stay hungry. You gotta keep pushing. Because the moment you relax, the moment you think you've arrived, somebody out there is still grinding and they will pass you up. The world belongs to those who are willing to outwork everyone else. It belongs to the people who can stay locked in when everyone else gets distracted. It belongs to the ones who don't mind being uncomfortable, who don't mind being lonely, who don't mind missing out on temporary pleasure because they're focused on a bigger picture. You've got to be willing to miss some sleep, miss some parties, miss some shortcuts because you are building something bigger than the moment. This is your grind season. This is the time to put your head down and go to work like your future depends on it, because it does. One day, when you're standing on the other side of the struggle, when you've achieved the thing they said you couldn't achieve, you'll look back and realize it was worth it. Every early morning, every late night, every sacrifice, every time you chose work over comfort. And the best part, you'll know that you didn't get there by luck. You didn't get there by chance. You got there because you outworked everyone. You earned it. And nobody can take that from you. So when you hear them doubt you, when you hear them whisper that you can't do it, smile and get back to work. When they laugh, let that be the soundtrack while you grind. When they turn their back, let that be the moment you lean in harder. Because at the end of the day, the work you put in will speak louder than any words they ever said. Outwork everyone. And you won't just prove them wrong. You'll prove to yourself that there's no limit to what you can achieve when you refuse to be outworked. Before anyone in this world believes in you, you have to believe yourself. Before anyone invests in your dream, you have to invest in your own heart. your own mind, your own grind. Too many people are waiting for someone to validate them, waiting for someone to clap for them, waiting for someone to give them permission to go after what they want. But here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you belief. That's your job. You've got to wake up every day and decide that you are enough, that you have what it takes. That even if nobody sees the vision yet, it's still real because you see it. That's what believing before they do is all about. It's about standing on faith when there's no evidence, no applause, no confirmation, just you and your dream. When you believe before they do, you carry yourself differently. You walk with confidence even when you're still at the bottom. You show up with energy even when the results haven't come yet. You grind with conviction because you know where you're headed, even if everyone else is blind to it. That's what faith is. It's seeing something before it exists. And that's hard. It's hard to believe when the world is telling you you're crazy. It's hard to believe when you have more failures than wins. It's hard to believe when the bank account is low, when you don't have the connections, when nothing seems to be working. But this is where the great ones separate themselves from the rest. They refuse to let what they see dictate what they believe. They believe first, then they make it happen. If you don't believe in yourself, nothing else matters. You can have all the resources in the world, all the opportunities, all the support, but if you don't have belief, you won't act on it, you won't put in the work, you'll sabotage yourself. And here's the thing, if you don't believe in you, why should anyone else? People are drawn to confidence. People invest in those who carry themselves like they're already winning. Belief is contagious. When you believe so strongly, when you move with certainty, when you speak with conviction, people start to believe too. They can't help it. They look at you and think, if they believe in it that much, maybe there's something to it. But it starts with you. You gotta be the first one to clap for yourself. You gotta be the first one to say, I can do this. Belief is not just a feeling, it's a decision. It's a commitment you make to yourself that no matter how many times you fall, you're going to get back up. It's a promise you make that you're not going to quit halfway through. It's telling yourself, I'm going to do this even if nobody understands, even if I'm the only one who sees it. That kind of belief is unshakable. That kind of belief gives you power on the darkest days. Because let's be real. There will be dark days. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working. There will be days when you wonder if you're wasting your time. There will be days when the people closest to you tell you to give up, to get a real job, to settle. And if you don't believe in yourself, you will quit. But if you believe, before they do, you'll keep going. You'll keep fighting. You'll keep showing up because you know in your heart. It's only a matter of time before the world catches up to what you already know. Believing before they do doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you redefine it. It means you look at your current circumstances and say, this is not the end of my story. It means you refuse to let what you see today stop you from creating what you want tomorrow. It means you trust the process, even when the process is painful. You trust that every setback, every delay, every closed door is shaping you, teaching you, preparing you for the moment when everything will click. That trust allows you to keep moving forward with confidence instead of giving in to fear. Sometimes you're going to have to talk to yourself. You're going to have to wake up and say out loud, I am capable. I am worthy. I'm going to make this happen. You're going to have to encourage yourself when nobody else is around to encourage you. You're going to have to be your own cheerleader until the crowd shows up. And when the crowd finally does show up, when people finally start to notice, you'll know you made it not because they believe, but because you believe first. That's the victory. Not just the outcome, but the fact that you kept believing when it would have been easier to quit. Belief also fuels action. When you truly believe, you move differently. You take risks that scared you before. You make decisions faster because you're not hesitating. You're not doubting. You put yourself in rooms you might have felt unworthy to enter before. You speak up. You stand tall. You take up space because you know you belong there. That kind of energy is magnetic. People can feel it. Opportunities start to find you because you're no longer shrinking, no longer hiding. You're showing up like the person you want to become, not the person you used to be. This is why believing before they do is so critical, because belief creates momentum. Once you start believing, you start working. Once you start working, you start seeing results. Once you start seeing results, your belief gets stronger. Your belief gets stronger. And soon, what was once just a dream becomes a reality. But if you wait for other people to believe first, you might wait forever. If you wait for their approval, for their permission, for their applause, you may never start. And that's how dreams die. Not because they were impossible, but because the dreamer didn't believe enough to try. So stop waiting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that you're good enough. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Decide today that you are worthy of the life you want. Decide today that your dream is worth fighting for. Decide today that you will be the first one to believe, even if you are the only one to believe. Move like it, work like it, carry yourself like someone who already has the victory. And here's the best part. When you believe before they do, and you keep showing up, eventually they will believe. Eventually, the same people who doubted you will come back and say, I always knew you had in you. Eventually, the same people who told you to quit will point to you as an example. Eventually, the same people who ignored you will want to work with you, learn from you, be connected to you. But by then, it won't even be about proving them wrong anymore. It will be about proving yourself right. It will be about knowing that you stayed true to yourself, to your vision, to your calling, even when it was hard. That's what makes the victory so sweet. So today, make a decision. Decide that you will believe before they do. Decide that you will trust your vision even when no one else can see. Decide that you will be the one who keeps showing up, who keeps fighting, who keeps building until what was once invisible becomes undeniable. Decide that you will clap for yourself, that you will push yourself, that you will encourage yourself until the world catches up. Because once you believe, truly believe, everything else becomes possible. And that belief will carry you through every obstacle, every rejection, every moment of doubt, until you're standing in the place you always knew you belonged. When you are trying to prove them wrong, when you are building something that the world can't see yet, you have to understand that the loudest thing in the room is not always the truth. There will always be noise, opinions, negativity, gossip, distraction, people telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what's realistic, what's not. If you get caught up in the noise, you will lose focus on what actually matters. The process. The process is where the growth happens, where the breakthroughs happen, where the transformation takes place. The process is your training ground, your proving ground, the place where you turn the idea into reality. But you can't stay faithful to the process if you're constantly letting the noise pull you off track. The process is not glamorous. It's not shiny. It's not Instagram worthy most of the time. It's not the part people clap for. The process is showing up every day, even when you're tired, even when you don't see results yet. The process is the early mornings, the late nights, the discipline, the sacrifices that nobody sees. It's the reps in the gym when no one is cheering. It's the hours of studying when no one is congratulating you. It's the failures, the setbacks, the moments you question if it's even worth it. The process is where you are tested, stretched, and molded into the person who can actually handle the success you're chasing. If you skip the process, you skip the growth. And if you skip the growth, you might get the goal, but you won't be able to sustain it. You've got to fall in love with the process. You got to love the work more than the praise. You've got to be more committed to the daily grind than to the approval of people. Because here's the truth, some of the noise you're hearing isn't even malicious. Some of the people giving you advice mean well. They just don't have your vision. They just can't see what you see. They are speaking from their perspective, from their fears, from their limitations. If you let that get inside your head, you'll start to doubt yourself. You'll start to question your path. And that's how dreams die. Not because you weren't capable, but because you lost focus. Focusing on the process means blocking out everything that doesn't serve your mission. It means saying no to distractions, no to unnecessary drama, no to things that drain your energy. It means being intentional about your time, about your environment, about the people you allow into your circle. Not everyone can go with you where you're headed. Not everyone deserves a voice in your decision-making. You have to get comfortable disappointing some people so you don't disappoint yourself. You have to get comfortable being misunderstood while you work on becoming the best version of yourself. When you focus on the process, you stop obsessing over the results. That might sound strange, but hear me. The results will come if you stay consistent with the process. Too many people quit because they didn't see results fast enough. They planted the seed and expected a tree the next day. They forgot that growth takes time. You can't rush the process. You can't demand harvest before you've done the work of planting, watering, cultivating, and waiting. Focusing on the process means trusting that if you show up day after day, if you do the work, the results are inevitable. It might take longer than you thought, but they are coming. Noise has a way of making you feel like you're behind, like you're not doing enough, like you're failing just because you're not where someone else is. That's why you have to be careful about comparing your journey to someone else's. Their chapter 20 is not your chapter 1. Their highlight reel is not your behind the scenes. Focusing on the process means measuring your progress against your own past self, not against someone else's current success. It means asking, am I better than I was yesterday? Am I more disciplined, more focused, more consistent than I was last week? If the answer is yes, you're winning, even if nobody sees it yet. There will be seasons when the process feels lonely, when it feels like no one understands why you're working so hard, why you're sacrificing so much. There will be times when the noise gets so loud that it feels like it's drowning out your own voice. That's when you have to go inward. That's when you have to remind yourself of your why. Why did you start this in the first place? Why is this important to you? Why are you willing to endure the process? When you get clear on your why, the noise starts to fade. The opinions stop mattering as much. The distractions lose their power because your why becomes bigger than in the noise. Focusing on the process also teaches you patience. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you resilience. You learn how to keep going even when things aren't exciting, even when you don't feel motivated. Motivation is great, but it's not reliable. It comes and goes. What's reliable is discipline, the commitment to keep showing up no matter how you feel. When you master the process, you stop being a slave to your emotions. You stop waiting to feel like it before you do the work. You do the work because you said you would, because you made a promise to yourself, because you know the process will pay off eventually. And here's the thing, when you really lock in on the process, when you block out the noise, you start to notice the small wins. You start to notice yourself getting stronger, faster, better. You start to celebrate the little milestones along the way instead of waiting for the big finish line. And those small wins build momentum. They remind you that the process is working, even if it's slow. They give you the confidence to keep going. They make the journey more enjoyable because you're no longer just chasing a destination. You're appreciating the growth along the way. The noise will always be there. People will always have opinions. The world will always try to distract you with shiny things, with shortcuts, with negativity. But you have a choice. You can let the noise control you, or you can tune it out and focus on what really matters. You can waste energy fighting every critic, or you can put all your energy into becoming so good that they can't deny you. You can spend your time scrolling, comparing, complaining, or you can spend your time building, creating, improving. The choice is yours. When you stay focused on the process, you become unstoppable because nothing anyone says can shake you. Nothing anyone does can throw you off. You know where you're going, you know what it takes, and you're willing to do it no matter what. That kind of focus is rare. That kind of focus is powerful. That kind of focus is what separates the people who talk about proving others wrong from the people who actually do it. So today, make a decision to quiet the noise. Make a decision to stop letting outside voices dictate how you feel about your journey. Make a decision to give your full attention to the process, to the work, the discipline, the growth. And trust that if you stay faithful to that process, the results will come. The doubters will see. The critics will fall silent. The same people who try to distract you will have no choice but to watch you win. And you'll know that you didn't get there by luck. You got there by staying focused when everyone else was getting distracted. You got there because you mastered the process and let the noise fade into the background. That's how you build something real. That is how you prove them wrong without ever saying a word. When you have a dream, when you have a vision that keeps you awake at night, you have to understand it's going to cost you something. Too many people want the results, but aren't willing to pay the price. You've got to understand that every great achievement in history has been built on sacrifice. The bigger the dream, the bigger the price tag. Success doesn't go on sale. It's full price. and it never goes on clearance. If you want to become the best version of yourself, you have to be willing to give up what is holding you back. You can't have both comfort and growth. Comfort is easy, but comfort is dangerous because it keeps you in the same place. Growth is hard, but growth is necessary because it pulls out the greatness inside you. Sacrifice is about looking at what you want most and deciding to put that above what you want right now. It's about saying no to good things so you can say yes to great things later. People don't talk about this part because it's not glamorous. Sacrifice means getting up earlier than everyone else. It means staying up later to work on your craft while everyone else is watching TV, playing games, or scrolling on social media. Sacrifice means putting your phone down, cutting out the noise, and locking in on your purpose. It means investing your time, your energy, your money, sometimes even your relationships into the dream you're chasing. It's saying no to things that look fun right now because you know they're distractions. It's saying no to the party, no to the weekend trip, no to the unnecessary spending so that you can say yes to your future. Sacrifice is lonely. You've got to be okay with walking alone sometimes because not everyone will understand why you're doing what you're doing. Some people will call you crazy. Some people will say you're wasting your time. Some people will even get offended because your dedication reminds them of what they're not doing. You have to be willing to risk being misunderstood if you really want to live the life you were called to live, the life you were called to live. The people you admire, the people you look up to, they didn't get there without sacrifice. They were willing to be uncomfortable so that one day they could enjoy the comfort they dreamed of. When you sacrifice, you're proving to yourself how badly you want it. Anybody can say they want to be successful, but few are willing to give up what's necessary to actually get there. Sacrifice is the separation between those who wish and those who achieve. Think about athletes who wake up at 4 a.m. to train. Entrepreneurs who work 16-hour days building their business from nothing. Students who study for hours when their friends are out having fun. They're all making sacrifices because they see something bigger than the moment. That's the key, seeing something bigger than now. If you can keep your eyes on the bigger picture, the temporary pain of sacrifice becomes bearable because you know it's leading to something greater. Sacrifice is also about discipline. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. It's telling yourself, yes, I could sleep in, but I'm getting up. Yes, I could eat this junk food, but I'm going to fuel my body properly. Yes, I could procrastinate, but I'm going to do it now. Discipline is a muscle, and the more you use it, the stronger it gets. At first, it's uncomfortable. Your mind and your body will resist because we're wired to avoid discomfort. But if you push through that resistance, you'll build momentum, and that momentum will carry you forward. Some people will never reach their potential because they keep choosing comfort over growth. They keep choosing the easy road, but the easy road never leads to the destination you're dreaming of. Sacrifice is not punishment, it's preparation. It's shaping you into the person who can handle the success you're chasing. There's a reason you can't skip this part. Because if success came to you without preparation, you wouldn't know how to manage it, and you would lose it. Sacrifice builds character. It builds resilience. It builds strength. It builds the kind of mindset that can sustain you when life gets hard. You have to understand that the sacrifice is temporary, but the reward is permanent. You won't have to grind this hard forever. You won't have to say no forever. But if you put in the work now, if you pay the price up front, you'll set yourself up for a future where you can live with freedom, where you can enjoy the benefits of your discipline. Most people do the opposite. They avoid sacrifice now and end up paying for it later. They choose the easy way today and spend the rest of their lives wishing they'd done more when they had the chance. Sacrifice will test you. It will push you to your limits. There will be days when you question why you're doing it. Days when you feel like quitting. Days when the old life looks tempting. That's when you got to remind yourself of the vision. That's when you got to talk to yourself, not listen to yourself. Listening to yourself will have you giving in to your feelings. Talking to yourself will have you reminding yourself what you started. You got to keep the promise you made to yourself even when it's hard. Even when it's hard. There will be times when it feels like no one is noticing, when it feels like your effort is invisible. But don't confuse being unseen with being unproductive. Sacrifice works in the dark before it shines in the light. Keep going even when no one is clapping for you, because one day they will. And when they do, it won't be luck. It will be the result of every sacrifice you made behind the scenes. Sacrifice isn't about losing. It's about trading something lesser for something greater. It's about trusting that what you're giving up is nothing compared to what's coming. You can't reap a harvest without planting seeds. And planting seeds means putting something in the ground, something you can't see right away, something that takes time to grow. Your sacrifice is the seed. Be patient enough to let it grow. Be persistent enough to water it every day with your action to bread. At the end of the day, you have to decide what matters most. Do you want to be comfortable now, or do you want to be great later? Do you want the instant gratification or the lasting legacy? It's your choice, but you can't have both. The ones who make the impact, the ones who change their lives, are the ones who choose sacrifice every single time. So whatever your dream is, whatever your vision is, make up your mind today that you're willing to pay the price. Stop holding on to things that are keeping you small. Stop making excuses about why you can, and start making the decisions that align with the person you're becoming. The sooner you sacrifice, the sooner you elevate. This is not easy, but nothing worth having ever is. Sacrifice is the doorway to success. Walk through it. And when it gets hard, remind yourself that it's supposed to be hard. If it were easy, everyone would do it. You're not everyone. You've got a vision. You've got a dream. You've got a calling. And it's going to require you to give more than you thought you had. But in the end, when you look back at the life you built, you'll know it was worth every single thing you gave up. Because you didn't just talk about it, you paid for it, you sacrificed for it, and that sacrifice became the reason you're living the life they said you could. Consistency is the separator between the dreamers and the doers, between the ones who talk about it and the ones who live it. Anyone can show up when it's easy, when the energy is high, when everything feels exciting. But true growth, true transformation happens when you show up on the days you don't feel like it, when nobody is watching, when the motivation is gone, when all you got left is discipline. Consistency is not about how you feel. It's about what you promise yourself. It's about doing the work over and over until it becomes a part of you. Consistency is boring. People don't talk about that part. They just show you the highlight reel, the big wins, the celebrations, the rewards. But they don't show you the countless hours of doing the same thing, perfecting the small details, getting 1% better every single day. That's what makes the difference. Consistency is about stacking day after day of progress, even if it feels small. Because over time, small efforts add up to big results. Most people quit not because the dream was impossible, but because they couldn't stay consistent long enough to see it through. They started strong, but couldn't handle the grind. They gave up when it stopped being fun. But if you want to prove them wrong, if you want to become everything you say you would, you have to stay the course even when it feels like nothing is happening. You have to keep showing up, keep building, keep pushing. Consistency is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The first few days might feel exciting. The first few weeks might even feel empowering. But at some point, it's going to get hard. Life is going to test you. You're going to face setbacks, distractions, fatigue, and disappointment. That's when most people check out, but not you. That's when you lock in even more. That's when you remind yourself why you started. You've got to push past the feelings and stick to the process. When you stay consistent, you create momentum. And momentum is powerful because it makes it harder to stop than to keep going. But here's the catch. Momentum takes time to build. You can't expect to see results after 2 days, 2 weeks, or even 2 months. You have to be willing to work in faith before you work in sight. You have to believe that your effort is paying off, even when you can't see it yet. That's the real challenge of consistency. Trust in the process. Consistency requires discipline, and discipline means you do what you said you were going to do long after the feeling you said it in has left you. It means you stick to the plan, whether you're tired or not, whether you're motivated or not. Some mornings you'll wake up and you won't want to get out of bed. Some nights you'll want to quit early. But consistency says, oh no, we're doing this anyway. And that builds character, that builds resilience, that builds confidence. The truth is, life will never be perfect. You're always going to have obstacles, stress, and things fighting for your attention. If you wait for the perfect moment to act, you'll be waiting forever. The people who win are the ones who do it anyway. They show up when it's raining, when they're tired, when they've got excuses lined up. They don't let how they feel determine what they do. They let their purpose guide their actions. You have to be okay with being patient. Consistency is not about instant gratification. It's about playing the long game. It's about making deposits every day into your future success. Each workout you do, each page you read, each hour you spend on your craft is a deposit. And over time, those deposits turn into something powerful, results that can't be ignored. But if you quit halfway, if you stop making those deposits, you'll never see the full reward. Consistency also builds trust, not just with other people, but with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you say you do, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. You can be trusted. You prove that your word means something. And that self-trust is everything. Because when you believe in yourself, you don't need anyone else's approval. You become unstoppable. Don't expect applause every day. Don't expect the world to cheer for your small wins. Most of the work you do in the beginning will go unnoticed. That's why consistency is so hard, because it feels invisible. But just because it's invisible doesn't mean it's ineffective. The results are coming. The progress is happening. You just have to stay in the game long enough to see the harvest. Consistency will make you a master. Nobody becomes great by showing up every now and then. Greatness is built on repetition. The best athletes, the best entrepreneurs, the best leaders, they practice the same fundamentals over and over until it becomes second nature. You might get bored with the process, but that's the point. You do it so much that it becomes who you are. Consistency will test you, but it will also transform you. Over time, you won't even recognize the person you were when you started. The late nights, the early morning, the discipline, the persistence, it will all add up to a version of you that you didn't know existed. That's the reward for staying consistent. You don't just reach your goal, you become someone capable of achieving even bigger ones. So don't let a bad day make you think you have a bad plan. Don't let temporary pain make you throw away something permanent. Consistency is not about being perfect. You're going to mess up. You're going to miss a day. You're going to have setbacks. But consistency means you get back up and keep going. It's about showing up more times than you sit out. You got to remember why you started in the first place. Write it down. Put it somewhere you can see it every single day. Because when it gets hard, and it will, you're going to need that reminder. You're going to need to tell yourself, this is why I'm doing this. This is what I'm fighting for. That reminder will keep you steady when your feelings want to quit. Consistency is your secret weapon. It's how you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people won't do the work long enough to see results. They want it quick. They want it easy. They want it now. But if you can delay gratification, if you can be consistent when others give up, you'll have what they'll never have. One day, people will ask how you did it. They'll think it was luck. They'll think it happened overnight. They won't see the late nights, the sacrifices, the pain, the quiet consistency that built the life you're living. And you'll smile because you'll know it wasn't magic, it was consistency. So whatever you're working on right now, commit to it. Lock in. Decide that you're not just going to work on it when you feel good. You're going to work on it every day, good day or bad. Decide that quitting is not an option. Decide that you will be consistent until the job is done. And if you do that, I promise you, you will look up one day and see a life that was built brick by your consistency, a life that proves every doubter wrong. Every single one of us is going to face setbacks. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. Life will knock you down. Life will test you. Life will throw curveballs you didn't see coming. And the truth is, most people let those setbacks stop them. They let a failure convince them they're a failure. They let one rejection convince them they're not good enough. But the people who win, the people who rise to the top, are the ones who refuse to let a setback be the end of their story. They use it as a setup for a comeback. They take the pain, the disappointment, the frustration, and they turn it into fuel. You have to understand that setbacks are part of the process. There is no success story without a failure chapter. There's no champion who hasn't been defeated at some point. The question is not whether you will face setbacks. The question is what you will do when they come. Will you stay down or will you get back up? Because it's not the fall that defines you. It's what you do after the fall. When you hit a wall, you have two choices: quit or climb. Quitting might feel easier in the moment, but it will haunt you later. Climbing might hurt, it might take longer, it might require more effort than you thought you had. But on the other side of the climb is growth you can't imagine right now. Setbacks are invitations to grow stronger, to get better, to sharpen yourself. They reveal weaknesses. They show you where you need to improve. And if you pay attention, they become your greatest teachers. A setback doesn't mean you're not meant to have what you're chasing. It means there's something more you need to learn before you get there. Some of you are praying for success, but you're not ready to carry it yet. The setback is preparing you. It's building patience. It's building humility. It's building perseverance. It's making sure that when you finally get the blessing, you won't lose it because you weren't ready. Setbacks also reveal character. Anybody can be positive when things are going well. Anybody can smile when they're winning. But when you're losing, when you're hurting, when you're frustrated, that's when your real character shows. That's when you have to decide who you are. Are you the kind of person who gives up, or are you the kind of person who fights back? You've got to stop being afraid of failing. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every time you fail, you're getting closer because you're learning what doesn't work. You're learning about yourself. You're developing grit. Grit is that ability to keep going when most people would have stopped. And grit is one of the most valuable traits you can have if you want to achieve anything great. Think about every great story you know. The athlete who was cut from the team, the entrepreneur whose business failed, the author whose book got rejected dozens of times. What makes their story powerful is not that they avoided setbacks, but that they overcame them. Their comeback is what inspires us. You can have a story like that too, but you got to be willing to keep going. When life knocks you down, don't just get back up casually. Get up with more determination than before. Get up with a plan, get up with fire, and get up with fire in your eyes. Your comeback should scare your setback. Your comeback should make everyone who doubted you sit up and watch. Don't just survive the setback. Use it as a reason to thrive. You might feel broken right now. You might feel like you're at rock bottom. Rock bottom is a solid foundation to build on. When you're at the bottom, you have nowhere to go but up. Use this moment to reset, to refocus, to rebuild. Stop dwelling on what happened and stop planning what you're going to do next. The truth is, a comeback is not just about getting back to where you were. It's about coming back stronger, wiser, better. If you go through something and come out the same person, you miss the lesson. Let the pain transform you. Let it push you to a level you didn't even know you had. You have to be relentless. Sometimes a setback will require you to start over, to rebuild from scratch, and that's okay. Start over with the knowledge you have now. Start over with the lessons you've learned. You're not starting from zero, you're starting from experience. And experience, priceless. Don't let the setback make you bitter. Let it make you better. Bitterness will keep you stuck in the past, replaying what went wrong. Bitterment will pull you into the future, focusing on what's next. You can't change what happened, but you can control what you do about it. Stop seeing setbacks as punishments and start seeing them as preparation. They're preparing you for the next level. They're shaping you into someone who can handle the weight of what you're asking for. Every great victory has a great struggle behind it. Every comeback has a moment when it looked like it was over, but it wasn't. You have to keep your faith alive. Even when it looks like nothing is working, even when you're tired, even when you're disappointed, hold on. Sometimes the comeback takes time. Sometimes the turnaround doesn't happen overnight. But if you quit now, you'll never know how close you were to the breakthrough. You've got to have the courage to get back in the game. You might be scared of failing again, but fear is not a reason to stop. Fear is a signal that you're in the right place because growth always happens outside your comfort zone. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And don't just come back for yourself. Come back for the people who are watching you. Someone out there needs to see that it's possible to lose everything and still rise again. Someone out there is waiting on your comeback story to give them permission to write their own. Your resilience could inspire someone else to keep fighting. So the next time you face a setback, don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning of your comeback. Take the lesson, take the pain, take the disappointment, and use it to fuel your next move. Get up one more time. Push one more time. Believe one more time. Believe one more time. And when you do, when you finally break through, you look back and realize that the setback wasn't your enemy. It was your greatest ally. It forced you to grow. It forced you to fight. It forced you to become the person who could win. And that's the beauty of it. The comeback is always greater than the setback. Not just because you got back to where you were, but because you became someone unstoppable in the process. Someone who knows they can take a punch and keep moving forward. Someone who refuses to stay down no matter how many times life knocks them over. Someone who proved that the story wasn't over when everyone thought it was. This is your moment to write that kind of story. This is your chance to turn the worst thing that happened to you into the best thing that ever happened to you. Use it, rise up, fight back, make your comeback so strong that no one ever doubts you again. There comes a point in your journey where you have to stop talking and start producing. You've spent enough time trying to convince people you're serious, trying to prove to them with words that you're capable. But words are cheap. Words are noise. Results are undeniable. The most powerful statement you can ever make to those who doubted you is not an argument, not a debate, not a clapback. It's success. When you reach the level they said you never would, when you achieve the thing they swore was impossible, you don't have to say anything at all. Your life becomes the answer. Your consistency, your work ethic, your results do all the speaking for you. It's tempting to want to defend yourself every time someone doubts you. It's tempting to post about it, talk about it, make sure everybody knows how hard you're working. But that energy is better spent doing the work. You don't need to announce every move you make. You need to make moves so big that they can't be ignored. Let your growth be so obvious that even the people who try to discredit you have no choice but to respect it. Success is the loudest voice you'll ever have. You don't need to yell. You don't need to argue. You don't need to try to convince anyone. When you win, it's loud enough for everyone to hear. The same people who said you couldn't will be the ones asking how you did it. The same people who dismissed you will be the ones quoting you. The same people who laughed at you will be the ones applauding you. That's the power of letting success speak. But here's the thing, success takes time. It takes patience. You can't be so worried about proving people wrong that you rush the process. You have to be willing to work in silence, to grind behind the scenes, to build piece by piece without instant validation. Social media has tricked a lot of people into thinking you have to show every step of the process. But the truth is the best work is often done in private. You don't owe anyone updates. You owe yourself discipline. You owe yourself follow through. Letting success speak also means letting go of the need for revenge. If you're only working hard to spite people, you're missing the point. Proving them wrong is not about anger. It's about purpose. It's about creating the life you were meant to live, regardless of who believed in you or not. And because here's the truth, even after you succeed, some people still won't clap for you. Some people still won't acknowledge you, and that's okay because this was never about them. It was about becoming who you said you'd be. There's a peace that comes with his mindset. When you stop explaining yourself to people who don't want to understand you, when you stop defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, you free up energy to actually build. And building is what will change your life, not talking. The people who talk the most often do the least. Don't be one of them. Be the one who quietly stacks wins until the wins are so high, no one can ignore them. And let's be clear, letting success speak doesn't mean staying silent when it's time to take action. It doesn't mean hiding your gift. It doesn't mean dimming your lights. It means shining so bright through your actions that no words are necessary. You don't have to say you're great when you actually are. You don't have to tell people you're disciplined when your life shows discipline. You don't have to convince people you've grown when the results are right there for them to see. There will be moments where people still doubt you, even as you're building. That's okay, let them. Doubt is part of the process. In fact, their doubt can become fuel if you channel it properly. Every time someone says you can't, every time they laugh, every time they count you out, go harder. Use it as motivation to lock in deeper, to focus more, to give even more of yourself to the goal. One day, they won't have anything left to say because the results will shut them down. You also have to remember that success doesn't just mean money or status. It means becoming the person you said you wanted to become. It means growing, evolving, maturing, finding peace, becoming healthy, breaking cycles, achieving excellence. When you become that person, the world can see the transformation, and that transformation is louder than anything you could ever say. Letting success speak also requires humility. Don't waste your victory gloating. Don't use your success to throw it in people's faces. The best revenge is not making them feel small. It's living so big that their opinion doesn't even matter. Be gracious in your wins. Show people that you didn't just build success. You build character. There's another benefit to this approach. When you let success speak, you inspire others. Someone out there is watching you quietly put in the work, watching you stay disciplined, watching you keep going. It would have been easier to quit. When they see you finally succeed, it will give them hope that they can succeed too. Your life becomes a blueprint for what's possible. That's the real legacy. Not just proving people wrong, but proving to others that they can do it too. The truth is, people remember results. They forget the arguments, the posts, the clapbacks, but they remember what you accomplished. They remember where you started and where you ended up. That's why it's so important to focus on the long game. Don't get distracted by trying to win the small battles of opinions and gossip. Win the war by becoming undeniable. This process is not easy. There will be days you want to defend yourself, days you want to quit, days you want to respond to every critic. Resist the urge. Silence is powerful when you're building. Let your silence be proof that you're working. Let your silence be proof that you're growing. Because when the time comes, when the result shows up, it will speak louder than you ever could. Think about the people you admire most. They didn't become great because they argued with doubters. They became great because they kept working when the doubters were talking. They let the results do the talking. And now their names are remembered not because of what they said, but because of what they accomplished. So wherever you are right now, whatever stage you're in, commit to doing the work. Commit to showing up every day until your life becomes the loudest statement you could ever make. Commit to letting your results silence the noise. When you do that, you won't have to say, I told you so. Your success will say it for you. Your transformation will say it for you. Your life will say it for you. And that's the goal. Not to win arguments, but to win at life. Not to prove them wrong with words, but to prove yourself right with action. Because at the end of the day, the people who doubted you don't matter. The ones who believed in you don't even matter as much as the promise you made to yourself. You owe it to yourself to keep going until what you see in your head is what you see in your reality. So stay focused, stay disciplined, stay patient, build quietly, grind relentlessly, grow consistently. And when the time is right, step back and let your success speak so loudly that the whole world hears it. Let it speak so loudly that no one can deny what you built. Let it speak so loudly that even your biggest critic has nothing left to say. And then just smile, because you didn't just tell them, you showed them. When you get to the end of this journey, when you've given every ounce of yourself, when you fought through every storm, you'll realize it was never about the doubters, never about the people who left, never about the critics, never about the applause. It was always about you keeping your promise to yourself. It was about who you became while fighting for your vision. You'll look back and see that every sleepless night, every setback, every failure, every painful moment was shaping you into someone who can handle the blessing you were asking for. You didn't just survive. You built something that couldn't be broken. You became stronger, wiser, sharper, more resilient. And that's the true reward. You have to understand that the end of this road is not just success, it's transformation. The old version of you, the one who doubted, the one who procrastinated, the one who cared too much about what people thought, won't even exist anymore. You'll have grown past them. You'll have created a new standard for yourself. One that demands excellence, one that refuses to settle, one that knows its worth. You will have built a life that reflects that new standard, a life that shows what happens when someone refuses to quit. And yes, people will notice. They will see the difference. They will feel it. You won't have to announce that you've leveled up. It will be obvious. The same people who question you will have no choice but to respect what you've done. Even if they never say it, they will think it. They will see the work. They will see the discipline. They will see the growth. And it will inspire some of them to go work on themselves too. That's what real success does. It doesn't just change your life. It creates a ripple effect that changes others. When you stand on the other side of the pain, you'll realize it was necessary. You'll realize that if it had been easy, you wouldn't have become who you are now. The adversity built your character. The setbacks taught you patience. The failures taught you humility. The delays taught you perseverance. Every single obstacle was part of the process of preparing you for the very thing you want. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. The conclusion is simple. You can't stop. Now, you come too far. You sacrificed too much. You've invested too much time, energy, sweat, and tears to walk away now. The version of you that started this journey may have been unsure, may have been scared, may have doubted, but the version of you standing here today has no excuse not to finish. You're not that same person anymore. You've grown, you've adapted, you've learned. You owe it to yourself to see this through until the end. You have to finish strong. You have to give it everything you got until there's nothing left to give. Don't settle for almost. Don't settle for good enough. Go until you can't go anymore, and then go a little bit further. That's where the breakthrough is. Just beyond the point where most people quit. Most people never see what they're capable of because they stop right before they find out. Don't be most people. Be the exception. And when you cross that finish line, when you finally hold the thing you've been working for, don't just take it as a personal win. Take it as proof. Proof that it's possible. Proof that discipline pays off. Proof that hard work works. Proof that dreams are real if you refuse to give up on them. Proof that everything you went through had a purpose. And once you have that proof, you have a responsibility to show others what's possible. This is bigger than you. Your success will become someone else's blueprint. Someone is watching you right now, needing you to win, because if you win, they'll believe they can too. They may never tell you. They may never thank you. But your consistency could be the thing that keeps them going. That's why you can't quit. That's why you can't slow down. You don't know whose future is tied to your obedience, to your commitment, to your refusal to give up. So as you close this chapter, remind yourself that this is not the end. It's the beginning of a new standard. You're not going back to who you were. You're not lowering the bar. You're setting new goals, dreaming bigger dreams, chasing greater heights. Because once you've proven to yourself that you can overcome, that you can finish, that you can win, there's no limit to what you can do next. And finally, give yourself credit. Celebrate how far you've come. Acknowledge the growth. Acknowledge the strength it took to get here. Acknowledge the fact that you kept going when quitting was easier. You did that. You showed up when it was hard. You kept fighting when you had every reason to stop. You became the person you said you wanted to be. And now that you've done it once, you can do it again and again and again in any area of your life. So walk away from this journey with your head high, knowing that you didn't just talk about it, you were about it. You didn't just dream. You executed. You didn't just start. You finished. And because you finished, the world is different. You are different. And now you know the truth. There is nothing you can't do if you're willing to stay consistent, stay disciplined, stay focused, and never give up. This is your moment. Own it. Live it. Keep building. Keep growing. Keep pushing it. Let your life be the evidence. Let your results be the response. Let your success be the loudest thing about you. The best is still ahead. Now go claim it.